every day is a special day. So you and I as leaders absolutely need to make that choice of expecting today to be a special one. And because I know people so well see lots of supportive, friendly, loving faces, I'll share with you what I did this morning, because it's a habit. You see, Tara and I talk a lot about habits. It's a habit that I've found very useful really since the climb. This morning in the hotel, opened up the curtains. Good morning, God. To open it up and say, good God morning, is a choice. But one of the things I'm passionate about is that leadership is a thought choice, and starting with the expectation that the day is going to be like a birthday. It is a habit which I've found on a personal basis extremely powerful, and one of the underpinnings to the principle of 5 seconds at a time. So we're laughing and enjoying ourselves, but this is significant because the snow has not only come into our climb, we're above the snow level now, but I will never forget what just the other side of that little mount. He says, okay, and he got real stern, said, bro, you got to pass the test. And his nature is very compassionate, but he got very demanding. He said, listen, I'm not taking you any further. I'm not going to take you any further until you can prove to me that you can remember how to hold it like so, like so. And he made me jump and fall so that the weight of my chest would get the spike in. And the significance of that was that not only he was giving me a reminder of his modeling practices, which is the essence of leadership, but he went on to say he did not think I was going to pass the test. That's why he had told Kathleen, who was still at the campsite, you better stay there till about 10 or 11 in the morning. See, the plan is for her to drive the several miles around the base of the mountain and pick us up on the other side at 5 o'clock. And I still grin inwardly at this spot where he made me do it, because he said, I didn't think you were going to pass the test. And he told Kathleen, you better stay there, because I'll have to bring him back, and if you've driven off, we'll be stranded. So for that reason, I'm doubly pleased that the old man could remember enough from his earlier days of mountain climbing how to stop himself. So I passed the test, and we went on, and I'll be fast. There were some shots that I happened to take, many shots like this, beautiful ice fields, and we are now about 8,000 feet. And he's obviously in the middle there, and you can see a little better shot there. What's the significance? Well, let me assure you the grandeur of the peaks around us. We could see 200 miles away. The clarity of the day, the clarity of the vision was extremely high. Here's my beloved brother-in-law, a great relationship, and it was a high, if I can put it that way. No drugs involved, just a natural high of being at this height, looking out about 300 more feet to get to the peak. But leading up to a second in my life that I truthfully will never forget. Because slightly further up that slope you saw, we got to a spot that was profoundly important for me. He had taught me to use the side of the axe, and all he had to do was hit, literally, a mound that's sticking up of a rock that's covered with ice, and it would de-ice it. I remember it fondly because the axe would allow the ice not only to shatter, but the beautiful sunshine on the day allowed the crystals to make a little rainbow. So please picture this in your mind. He says, okay, bro, I'm going to show you how to handle this rather more difficult part of the classic. Stand on the ice rock and watch. So I'm standing there on a spot that is wet but not slippery. Temporarily, very safe here. And he's moving his way up, showing me how to handle this a little bit more difficult part of the slope. And the second in my life that I'm alluding to, as I was doing some mathematics in the hotel room last night, knowing that I would mention this very special second, I took the years of my life, and then I multiplied that by 365, and then multiplied that by 24, by 60, by 60, and I was calculating the, Alex? Yeah, I've been around for a while. These old grey hairs are not there for nothing. The number came to 2, comma. I remember 019, comma, and there was a 642, comma, and truthfully I've forgotten the last 3 digits. It doesn't matter, it's different now. But I've been around, alive on this earth, over 2,000 million seconds. It's a lot. Well, the one that is profoundly important for me was at the point where he works his way up to a spot that was approximately 60 feet higher than where I'm standing, turns around and says, okay, your turn. And I'm pretty confident because he taught me to break the journey down into manageable pieces. And so from where I'm standing, I'm thinking, well, yeah, get to that rock and then de-ice that. So as I'm digging my crampon thing, he's calling out, fantastic, dig him in, that's a reference to the necessity to kick these spikes with the toe. Dig him in, I not only get to the spot at which I'm aiming, hit it, de-ice it, and step onto it, really excited. A, I'd accomplished the goal. B, I had proved that I was capable of doing this. Feeling really good in the majesty of the scenario and the very positive, loving relationship that I had with Bruce at that time. And if I could show you a photograph of my face, I would believe it would have a grin from ear to ear. It was truly a very special experience to have accomplished this slightly difficult slope. The second I'm referring to was when I imagined the smile on my face must have disappeared really quickly. See, I could see that the crampon that you saw in that first slide on the pack on his right leg was off on a funny angle. It's a 45-degree slope and you need your spikes. And I could see he did not have adequate support. Obviously precarious position. And I remember vividly my words, my communication to him, very short and brief, was, hey Bruce, your crampons are coming off. I remember seeing him turn his body slightly, presumably to see what on earth I meant. And bang! Not only did he go hard onto his back, but started a slide slightly to my left. It was unbelievably fast. Yes, the communication to start with was your crampons are coming off. There was no longer any time to say anything more. But as he started the slide, feet first, and by the way, I've given you some data already. They include the fact 230 pounds, 6'3". The slide was unbelievably instant and quick, to say the least. I did have time to do 2 things. One is, I'll never forget, we had a split second where we made eye contact, a very important part of any communication. Secondly, I had a chance to stick out my left hand to catch him. He saw my left hand, stuck out his left hand. And the second, to which I'm referring, was when our hands became confident that would be accurate. Got this far apart, and Bruce, not me, it was Bruce, pulls his hand back at that critical point. And I stand here absolutely sure, passionately confident that had he taken my hand, no way could I have held him. The momentum was phenomenal. And that second was a treasure for me because had he taken, I'm absolutely sure I'd be ripped off and no way I could have stopped him. The last glimpse I had of him was when he rolled over, and I want to make this clear, he did everything perfectly correctly with his own axe, the sort of test that he had subjected me to down thousands of feet lower and the test that I had passed. He did everything perfectly correctly and he should have stopped himself. But I haven't told you yet, this week in May was a little unusual because the weather was hotter during the day than it was normally, and certainly colder during the night than normal. And where there's that extreme temperature difference, it turns ice into what climbers will tend to call boilerplate. just like steel. Now, you saw his bicep, and rest assured, he did everything accurately, but even he could not stop himself at this height. I could do it lower because the snow was nowhere near as hard as what he's now facing. And why I treasure that second was, it's a choice he made. Leadership, I'm convinced, is also a choice. And that's why it's mentioned in the book and many of the chapters. The leadership is a disposition. It's a thought choice, not a position, certainly not a title. So in that split second, it not only allowed me to have the rich privilege of standing here looking at your attractive faces, but it has taught me one of the principles, there's a whole chapter on this, really to value and appreciate every day, every second actually, of the day, which